Click.
Football cards collecting and investing. His name is Andy. My name is Carter, and we are live for the first time after all the big free agency signings. And Andy, I want to start with Malik Willis. That was the big quarterback. We'll go down all the quarterbacks that have made moves, including Kyler Murray to the Vikings. But to me, Malik Willis has been put in a difficult spot because Malik Willis doesn't have any weapons. We don't know what's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. There are some rumors here with Devon Achane going out there on the trade market. And then, of course, Jalen Waddle, the biggest blockbuster move of this past week. Waddle to the Broncos for the 30th overall pick and some other compensation. So, Andy, we gave Malik Willis out as a backup play roughly 6 months ago when he was getting some run with the Green Bay Packers. And now I think if you had some Malik Willis cards stored away, I'm definitely getting ready to sell those going into this next season because I doubt he has a big year in Miami with that offensive environment.
Yeah, that is very, very sketchy, very concerning. There's only so much he could do on it with his legs, and he showed some pretty good passing acumen there. Stepping in for the Packers quite a bit. So, I mean, I'm looking at his market, Carter. I mean, yeah, he's seen some increases, but, compared to the rest of the class, it's not like his cards still are at a significant discount. Like the downtown, if we look at the PSA 10 sales over the past 60 days, that's the number one most sold item with only a population of 94. And you see the dip there like March 3rd. There was 1,050 buy it now. March 10th, we have 1,150. But let's back out here and see if that's – yeah, I mean, so you look at his market and it's up. But, I mean, other starting quarterbacks, this card typically transacts for $2,500 to $5,000 plus, So,
Right.
yeah, it's up from where it was down last season where you could have got that card for like $300. And so, yeah, these guys that bought into him during the season last year and before the season are definitely at a huge profit margin. So it makes a lot of sense to sell. I think you're probably right, Carter. You probably sell now on the free agency hype.
And I'm really excited about Jalen Waddle going to Denver. This will be the most explosive offensive environment he's been in. But for me, when I look at Jalen Waddle and I look at what he could be with Bo Nix, who was a lower ADOT thrower at Oregon. I know Sean Payton's going to do a good job of scheming things up for Waddle to be an absolutely positively explosive playmaker for the Denver Broncos. So before we talk about Waddle, we'll stick with the quarterbacks. That's what everyone wants to know about. And Andy, Kyler Murray goes to Minnesota. And I actually am still holding some Kyler Murray autos that I bought on the low. And he goes to the best offensive environment he's been in quite some time. You'll have Justin Jefferson. You'll have Kevin O'Connell. It is the NFC North. But still, this should be good for Kyler, don't you think?
Yeah, I got to think it's good for Kyler. Love the coaching situation in Minnesota. Maybe a fresh start is what he needs. I'm looking at, his cards had got so cheap. He was such a hot quarterback in, 2020, like 2021, like early sports card bubble there. And you can zoom out and like look at his 2-year trend. Look how low this Silver Prism rookie auto PSA 10 got. I mean, October 28, 2025, that's just a silver PSA 10. But the silver PSA 10, look how low some of these got, crazy. Man, back in $50, $57 for a silver Prism PSA 10. And I know one of these is an auto, so you got some autos in here. But look, if we look at this transaction right here from March 4th, just 2 weeks ago, $395. That's an insane increase over buying them back in December for $50 to $60. Now going for $300 to $400, which is kind of where that card has been for him going back to 2024. And so, yeah, I mean, I like to sell on this hype. I mean, that's kind of like why we call out guys during November and December that are going to be on the move in March in free agency is because they're so low in November, December for a various amount of reasons, due to performance and the team environment and everything. And now he's skyrocketed to a respectable number. And if you bought in right then, then now you sell, right? Whereas if you bought in before last season, Carter, or maybe a previous year, maybe you're still holding in hopes that he actually performs well in Minnesota and the Cards continue to go up.
Yeah, I didn't get in at the bottom barrel, but I still got him relatively nice. All right, so I am hoping that the Kevin O'Connell experience is good, but you go back, he did get to play with Larry Fitzgerald very early in his career. He got to play with DeAndre Hopkins as well in Arizona, but Justin Jefferson to me is better than those two, not by much, but I think this is going to be a really good year for him in Minnesota. Now, I know there's some that are saying fade him. What is going to happen with JJ McCarthy here? And that is where it gets really interesting for me from a football card perspective, because JJ McCarthy actually does have Panini autos where there's Topps exclusive guys mixed in there. So my thing is, what has worked consistently is buying the first round QBs on the low. I sold all of my JJ McCarthy's going into this past season, and I was very happy I did that.
Yeah.
This could be another opportunity for me to buy. I'd rather wait because there still is some newish hype surrounding him, but it's a fascinating dichotomy between two of the shorter quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I also want to know if anybody in the chat sold their Drake May cards heading into the Super Bowl, or did they try and hold them to capitalize during or after the Super Bowl? Just talking about that 2024 draft class. And yeah, I'm looking at JJ McCarthy here. We're just comparing that silver prism with Kyler Murray. Just totally different market, right? With Fanatics exclusive licenses and all this kind of stuff. But 934, very low conversion of raw to PSA 10 here. Only 26%. Its current price of around 220 for JJ McCarthy. And I think let's zoom out here just to see where he was bouncing around at during the season. Definitely a lot higher, right? I mean, he was winning some games there. Yeah, about 350 it looks like was his peak. And that is where about Kyler Murray is at now, but Kyler Murray's got a much more rare market pound for pound than JJ McCarthy. As you see, I have to scroll down like a decent ways to find the Kyler Murray silver prism. So if we filter by Panini Prism, Carter, real quick, and we look at that that card we were just looking at, his silver prism PSA 10 only has a pop of 200. So what? That's like a fifth of JJ McCarthy's, and the cards are going for about the same price. So definitely, like Kyler is a better play if you're trying to make a play on that quarterback room in Minnesota.
And he's only 28, and that's the thing about Kyler. And McCarthy also is very, very, very young. But what I've done and the trend that I've seen is I never really want to be buying the most expensive QB of a certain crop or a certain class, if you will. With a lot of these first rounders that struggle, there's always going to be a buy low window, and there's always going to be opportunity for you to sell them as they go to a new team. Malik Willis wasn't a first round quarterback, but a lot of people did feel he was going to get drafted in the first round. He was drafted in the third, right? There's plenty of other quarterbacks that I'm interested in looking into that, even though my own eval, I didn't like them at all, they could get a second chance. Is this a generational opportunity to buy low on someone like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or someone like that? So it's one of those things where with football cards, sometimes the most profitable thing for you to do is find the quarterback that's looked like garbage. Just straight garbage. Just straight hot off the presses ass.
That's a
And
stretch, Carter.
if you could find that guy and he just gets to a better environment, voila. And what was the story of this last year? It was Sam Darnold being the first quarterback of the 2018 rookie class, which is loaded. Baker Mayfield, incredible. 2 other Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the class with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. We always talked about those 3, and Sam Darnold was the guy. And that's why we do this show. That's why we're back for the first time in a while. We want to be here to help you make those football card plays. And something else that Andy and I had discussed privately, we also want to learn from you guys. So let us know what your best plays have been in the comment section. Now, Andy, we are big on not making this just a quarterback show. We'll get back into a few QBs a little bit later, but it's time to get the tiny violins out. I want everyone watching this right now to get them out. Andy, I want you to do it as well. Give me your best tiny violin right here. Let's see it. Andy's BFF. They have been together for many a moons. Mike Evans is no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Andy. He has gone out west to the electrical subjugation, whatever it's called. And he's a 49er. How does it feel?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't even really, I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock. I really was hoping that he would retire a Buccaneer, but I've been talking, like we talked about off air, Carter, this happens with a lot of veterans as they get younger. The NFL is a business and they have to invest in younger talent. At the same time, these veterans, they want to try and make as much money they can and play for a winning team while they still can. And he feels like he's got another year or 2 left. So, yeah, man, it's a definitely it's tragic for the Buccaneer fan base.
And they also signed Christian Kirk. But yeah, Andy, let's talk about Mike quickly. And this is one of those things that we talk about quite a bit on this channel. There's so much focus on guys that are younger. It's just what football cards are, what's going on with guys that are 28, 29 and under. But we do like to talk about these veteran, somewhat legendary players, right? Like Matthew Stafford's market is hit a boom over this past year. Mike Evans, same thing. So it's a very fascinating dichotomy.
Yeah, and his market is up. I mean, you could look at the autograph market, and that's where I like to focus for these skill position guys, right? Because you got a significant scarcity in the autograph market. A lot of the autographs are going to come with serial numbers, and just in the price point that wide receivers and running backs trade at in the football card market, the autograph sector is a very good spot to focus in on. So you can see, like, man, beautiful card here, Topps Chrome. Love the Topps Chrome from 2014 with the on-card auto. Mike Evans did a lot of on-card autographs in 2014. And so, yeah, beautiful card, BGS 9.5. That sold for $500, it looks like, here just the other day. So, and I'm seeing a lot of transactions here for Mike, and these are higher than what I remember. I mean, especially when I look at something like this, the Panini Elite, like I could have got this during the season last year for maybe 30 or 40 bucks. It's not a premier brand from 2014, like the Prism or the Topps Chrome, that kind of stuff. This is more like, I guess I would compare it to more like a Mosaic today. And, but you still have, nice on-card autograph and, rookie card shield in the top right. And so this card going for close to $100 now. That's pretty impressive. So you definitely see that boom in his market from going to the 49ers.
Interesting, man. God bless. It's difficult because if he doesn't play well, it's going to join the long list of legendary players who signed that next deal and they shouldn't have signed that next deal. right? It's like looking at Jerry Rice in a Seahawks jersey, or
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith in a Cardinals jersey. So I hope Mike actually produces, uh, because it does stain uh, it doesn't stain your legacy per se. That's a little too heavy of a statement, but it just makes you feel sick, right? There's that legendary photo in the NBA of Akeem Olajuwon in a Raptors uniform being guarded by Patrick Ewing in a Magic uniform. It just feels like vomit, if you will. So, good luck to Mike. I wanted to shout him out. Um, Andy, I want to give an honest opinion on one NFL team that to me has the most dreaded quarterback room in the league, and that is the Atlanta Falcons, where they have two of the most perpetually injured quarterbacks in Michael Penix, who might be older than me, and Tua Tagovailoa, who might be older than both of us, it seems. Two left-handed quarterbacks that used to be able to run, but don't really run anymore. And they're now in Atlanta, which, is a very good offensive environment now with Kevin Stefanski. So your thoughts on the 2020 quarterback class, but most notably Tua now in the A?
Yeah, that's a powerful class. Tua certainly at the bottom of that class now, really.
Right.
Um, yeah, so it would be interesting if we look in here and do a compare on Slabhawk, do a 2020 QB Prism PSA 10 study, just because the PSA 10 Prism for pretty much every year it's a really good card. You're going to get a lot of transactional data. You're going to be able to get some good comparisons here. And let's just look at the difference, like the trend. This is the base Prism PSA 10, which I would say has definitely like lost some allure from the higher end collectors, right? Those guys are going to be going for at least the silver Prism PSA 10 or rookie ticket auto or something more rare than just the base Prism. But, for most like entry level and intermediate sports card flippers, investors, hobbyists, the Prism PSA 10 is a great gold standard card. So, comparing these five guys, these five quarterbacks that we have from 2020, Tua's average PSA 10 is $14. $14 for the base Prism PSA 10 compared to Jordan Love at 50, Jalen Hurts at 50, 56, Joe Burrow at 86, and Herbert also in that 56, so that 50 to 60 range. So as you can see, it's really only Joe Burrow that's held like close to 100, a pretty strong market there. The other guys, and especially Tua, all the way down to $14. And of course, he's up 32%, but that's because, I mean, there's nowhere to go but up when your Prism PSA 10 selling it for $14.
I mean, it's paperweight money. I mean, that's practically what it is. So it's very, very, very fascinating. I want to go rapid fire here. If any of these running backs interest you, okay, this is when the cliff falls off for these really good backs that have a little bit of juice, but they go to a new team and the juice just isn't there anymore. So obviously, running back is the most volatile card you could buy in the hobby, in my opinion. So Isaiah Pacheco, Andy, now a Detroit Lion.
Well, I like that move for him.
Yeah.
He probably will get less because David Montgomery is now on the Texans, right?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
so that was a boom for Montgomery. I'm sure you're probably going to talk about him in a minute, but like just looking at his stats from last year, 13 games, 3.9 yards per carry, only 462 rushing yards, and just 2 touchdowns. He did catch 19 balls for 101 receiving yards. I got to think he can go up in the Lions offense, but at the same time, it just feels like this is going to be even more like prime workload, like that workload that you get in the red zone, or those design plays are going to be more tailored to Jahmyr Gibbs, and Isaiah Pacheco is going to be, the between the 20s grinder. That's
Yeah,
kind of
I
how
think.
I'm feeling this scenario.
Yeah, I don't think Isaiah Pacheco's good, and I think David Montgomery's good at football. So because of that, I do think Jahmyr Gibbs for MVP is worth a few coins. Okay, passing yardage down everywhere in the NFL. We had we had one of the weaker MVP battles in recent memory. Not saying Matthew Stafford's a weak MVP. I thought he was a clear MVP over Drake May. But I could see a world where one of these super volume running backs wins the MVP. And I feel pretty good about the Lions offense. And I feel pretty good about them being in a bunch of shootouts next year, being attached to a pocket QB. So I think this is really good news for Gibbs, and he should be the number one pick in fantasy football. And that's me saying that being a Jamar Chase homer. So that's my thoughts on that move. David Montgomery to the Texans, you touched on it briefly. That's going to be a very nice workload for him. There was some drama attached to that as well. I know some of these moves are older, but this is the first time we've been live with both of our work schedules over the past couple of weeks. Okay. Another name, Andy, as you type in Isaiah Pacheco's market here for the Lions, we're going to cover two running backs. Andy, two of them signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's first start with Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, is now Patrick Mahomes' clear-cut RB1 with Pacheco out the door. Now, you have the Rashard Smith coming into year two. Didn't really do anything as a rookie for SMU. And Kenneth Walker goes from one Super Bowl winning franchise to another. And I think he's going to have a point to prove. There was the viral moment from the Super Bowl parade between him and John Schneider, which was extremely awkward. And now he reunites with Andy Reid. So your thoughts on that fit and what to do with the K-Dub cards?
Well, K-Dub cards, I think, actually have some room to go up if he can execute at the Chiefs level. Like, I don't think it would take a whole lot if the Chiefs get off to a hot start for Kenneth Walker's cards to go up. It's kind of like that Chiefs tax. I haven't, just looking at the rookie ticket auto market for Kenneth Walker here, which is it's a sweet spot for Kenneth Walker, especially being a 2022 high round draft pick. You look at some of these cards like the base rookie ticket auto, $50. This card now for Jahmyr Gibbs is a close to $200 card. Okay, so we're looking at a big difference in values here between Kenneth Walker and Jahmyr Gibbs, and for good reason. But I could easily see a serial numbered rookie ticket auto Kenneth Walker going up maybe about 50% if he can execute at a high level that people expect to see from the Chiefs, So it could be an interesting situation here. Definitely an opportunity for him to prove himself. You can see the market hasn't just dropped everything to buy and spike Kenneth Walker's prices right out of the gate here. But it could certainly be reactive to an initial opening start in prime time with the Chiefs this year on a couple big games, and all of a sudden, boom, he's right up there, pretty much double where he's at now.
And the second running back that was signed by the Kansas City Chiefs, Justin Fields.
Yeah. I mean, he's worth a flyer as a running back. He is actually a really good rusher of the football. I just, we obviously we've been down that road now with the Jets, and you were right, Carter. He's a terrible quarterback in terms of like his passing acumen. That was bad.
Yeah,
but
just a major L on my part. Saying I actually had him as the number one quarterback in Trevor Lawrence's draft class. And it's not as if T-Law's been amazing other than, this past year with Liam Cohen, or the second half of the season with Liam Cohen. But, yeah, Justin Fields, I will say, let's just say Patrick Mahomes is indeed healthy for week one. Could I see a world where Justin Fields is involved in this offense? Yes. I'm serious. Because the Chiefs have always been kind of herky-jerky with the design QB run game with Mahomes. He got hurt on a quarterback sneak many moons ago, and he's coming off this ACL. I could see a world where Justin Fields is on the field at the same time as Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is that guy when it comes to play calling. And this, the Chiefs have always been the team that's been open to these crazy laterals, mostly with the Travis Kelce, with the Kadarius Toney offsides call, took off one of the most insane plays in NFL history from Travis Kelce. So, this could be an opportunity. I would like these cards to be a little bit lower before I move in on Justin Fields. But yeah, it kind of goes against my ethos I said earlier in the show, right? First round quarterback draft capital. There's normally some other type of spike that happens to him, and Fields is still relatively young.
Yeah, him and Zach Wilson are relatively the same age, right?
Yeah, but I'm just totally out on Wilson. I just don't see a world where that works out at all.
You look at these prices. These are rock bottom prices for, silver, prism, optic, contenders, rookie ticket auto, PSA 9 for $86 in auction yesterday. I mean, the thing is, you could probably get a Malik Willis rookie ticket auto for about the same price, maybe slightly higher. I just think at this, look at that, even serial numbered, about the same price. Raw one right there, nice card. And I like the there's the exact same card raw for Malik Willis for 117. So, an extra $30-$40, pick you up a Malik Willis, and I think you got higher upside. Because it would take a serious, even if they designed Fields in. I mean, Andy Reid designed other guys in plays here and there. They never really spiked. Maybe they spiked in like a preseason game if they were a rookie or something. But with how much they moved the ball around, you got to be an integral part of that offense. I don't see that happening. And if Mahomes goes down with an injury, the Chiefs just don't have that same hyper reactive hobby love that I think they did 2 years ago. So It would take a lot more from Fields to actually execute to get the hype that Malik Willis, I think, could get from maybe just one or two games, because he's still very much unknown in a starting quarterback role.
Probably the final year, Travis Kelce, you never know what to expect from Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy looks a little busty at this point in his career. So it could be a whole lot of the Kenneth Walker show going into next year. A few more rapid-fire ones. Rico Dowdle to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's one that I like a lot because they have a relationship. They always wanted to play again together with one another. Is Rachaad White to the Washington Commanders. And then, to go back to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, Andy, Kenneth Gainwell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's just been a running back carousel. Everyone's just going everywhere else, basically.
Yeah, I love the addition of Kenneth Gainwell to the Bucs. I like Kenny, and I've also got some Kenny Gainwell cards stashed, and his work ethic is legit. So he'll definitely get some good run. He's definitely better than Rachaad White. I'll tell you that. I think Kenneth Gainwell can definitely be a better running back for the team than Rachaad White. I was really impressed by Rico Dowdle last year. I mean, being an undrafted guy out of 2020 and then putting up over 1,000 yards. And he did that in 2024 too. Over 1,000 yards in 2024, over 1,000 yards last year at 4.6 yards per carry. I mean, really, really impressive numbers. I'm looking at his EPA. He was number 8 at the running back position, and yards per touch at 5 is really impressive. So his rookie auto market is going to be a lot different because he was an undrafted player. So like if you can find a Rico Dowdle rookie ticket auto, all of a sudden that card just becomes exponentially more rare. kind of like the Adam Thielen cards used to be, and any of the other undrafted guys. Like even Isaiah Pacheco's rookie autos are exponentially more rare because he just doesn't have any autos. They were all event signed. So you have to take those things into consideration. Like here, I pull up Rico Dowdle right now. You look at some of the rookie autos in a Cowboys uniform, matches good with a rookie auto, but these prices they may seem kind of high for his age, but this is really like the premier card you could target for him. There's definitely upside to buying his rookie ticket auto for $30-$35.
Yeah. God, dude. And he's pissed. Like, I have never seen a running back badmouth a team more than Daddle badmouth the Panthers. If you want to see someone going scorched earth, I mean, he was doing this with the Panthers like right after the playoff loss. So now you're in Pittsburgh with the Fighting Mike McCarthy's, one of the weirdest quarterback rooms. So we'll see what happens there. Now we get to what sounds to be an ancient signing, but the Buffalo Bills go get them a wide receiver and DJ Moore, Andy.
Is DJ Moore washed though? Like, I'm hoping a fresh start in the Bills offense. Pretty busy receiving room. Josh Allen likes to do a lot himself, spread the ball around a lot. I just wonder if DJ Moore will ever be at like the ball hog, alpha wide receiver level that he was in the past, that we used to always spend up to get. And he was such a premier player, but it sounds, I mean, when I watched him in Chicago, a lot of times, man, his attitude, his work ethic seemed to sour. So I'm not sure if,
28 years old, did play all 17 games, but these are his target numbers throughout his career. As a rookie, 82, then 135, 118, 163, 118, 136, 140, and this past year, 85. That's a crazy dip, man.
Huge dip.
But you go from ridiculously competitive, diverse offense to a Buffalo Bills room that has been begging for wide receiver help. So you have to factor that in as well.
What I like the senior mentorship role that Diggs plays there. Is he coming back for another year?
Wait, where did Steph Diggs go? I'm just drawing a blank. I think he's just out there in the ethos.
I mean, if there's anybody that could get DJ Moore fired up, it's probably Diggs.
I don't know. Yeah, Diggs hadn't signed with anyone. I was like, wait, did he or did he not? No, he's just out there making babies, hanging out with Cardi B.
Yeah, that's
enjoying
one thing.
Life. Probably on a yacht somewhere. But yeah, now we have touched on a gazillion free agents. I'm sure there are plenty that we haven't touched. I do owe an apology to you guys because last year I was on fire with some NFL Combine takes. We weren't live during the NFL Combine, so that's on me. All right, because I gave Bashal Tootin out before the Combine, and that worked itself out. And my guy before the Combine was Mike Washington of Arkansas. Could just be that I do an Arkansas video every week on my SEC channel. But I was hearing some good things as far as his workouts were concerned. And Mike Washington ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. Now, what I want to do, Andy, is really quickly talk about this draft class. All right. So we know about Fernando Mendoza. His college cards have been very expensive for quite some time. I do want to talk a little bit about Garrett Nussmeier. I was at a show recently. I bought some Garrett autos on the low. So I do think you'll see an uptick because I think it'll be a day 2, day 3 pick, and I'll get a little bit of a bump from that. But Andy, what are your just overall post-combine NFL draft thoughts when it comes to football cards?
Well, I'll tell you this: I've seen an uptick in Ty Simpson sales.
Yeah.
I just sold like a Bowman Silver Ty Simpson today. I think I had it priced too low. I forgot I even had it listed, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I've noticed an uptick, and this is definitely the time period where you're going to start to see a lot of those draft speculations. Mock drafts are coming out. People are starting to speculate where these college players are going to land, which round, et cetera, which is having an effect on the market. Like, this is the time we see those guys actually going up in value. And then on draft night, you're not going to see as much movement because a lot of it's already been baked in to where they're speculated to go. That's kind of how the hype works. For college players heading into the draft. So, yeah, I would say if you haven't made your moves already now, kind of. I would buy into some of the lower skill, the cheaper skill position players, because what happens with those guys is some of those guys remain very cheap into the draft, and then people don't realize they don't really get hardly any pro uniform cards until they actually start playing in the regular season. But before that, you've got all the training camp buzz, all the preseason buzz, and there's a lot of money to be made in that time period on the college uniform cards, and you can get them now. We're talking a lot of this running backs that are going to go in the second round, those second round wide receivers that land in an advantageous spot, and they just get so much run in training camp and so much buzz, and then they get all the playing time in preseason, and that's when those college uniform cards spike, and you can make some good money on them.
Yeah, so something else is a lot of these like deeper cut guys don't really have cards. So Mike Washington doesn't have any cards, which is kind of stinks. But Tootin had cards last year in his Virginia Tech uniform. I do want to go through a few players that are interesting. Let's stay in the natural state. I can't believe I'm going back to back with a team that won 2 games last year in college football. But Tayen Green at the Senior Bowl, the underwear Olympics, if you will. Even though they were in pads for some of it, the combine's the underwear Olympics. We'll get to that in a second. But Tayen Green athletically is so ridiculously gifted. Then at the combine, everyone got to see it. He was, one of the biggest combine marvels, and you could still get his Bowman autos in an Arkansas uniform for $20. Just a ridiculously gifted athlete. And his running is on par with a guy like Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson. He is that level. All right. Now, he's not as productive as those guys with their legs because he's just not as good of a quarterback as those guys are. But like you're getting taller Justin Fields type of upside with the potential that it could hit. So yeah, Tayen Green's an interesting QB. And I will say, Eagle Sports Card, Mr. Jonathan has been calling out Tayen Green's name for a while now.
I mean, at these prices, that's a smart move, man. Look at these prices. I like the auto quality here too. There's something to be said about that. That's a pretty solid auto where he's still putting his number on there. Solid penmanship, and Bowman Chrome first, serial numbered out of 299, 3750. Yeah, there's some nice upside there. Potential upside, of course, right?
and there's other quarterbacks that interest me. People like brashness, and Tayen Green is yes sir, no sir, great in every interview. The want to date your daughter quarterback type of guy. But then you have Diego Pavia, whose mentor is Johnny Manziel, has his brothers get arrested at a Tennessee game, said what he said after losing the Heisman Trophy. And some feel at the Senior Bowl he was the best quarterback there. So people like a story, and Diego Pavia is going to be the story when it comes to the quarterback ambiguity of this next draft class. Undersized, not a great arm, not an elite processor, but just a gamer, Andy.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what his card market looks like, but that's man, those character issues are a serious concern, and that could plummet his draft stock, man.
Let me check what his Bowman. So you can get some of his autos for. He's got a lot of autograph cards, though. I mean, a
He
lot.
taking all those NIL deals, man.
Right. But some of his inscriptions are just things of beauty. Look at this one. I'm going to share my screen really quickly
Okay,
here. If it lets me. Let me see.
let's see. Let's add him.
Look at that. Vandy, we turn. But you could see the one thing I like about Pavia compared to Tayen Green is that his first autos in Bowman were this last year, where Tayen Green has a lot of Boise State stuff, which is kind of wild from many moons ago. So still, he signed a lot of different products. I don't blame him. But you can get his autos for relatively cheap. And, we're running a little long here, but we can get into the wide receivers. The tight ends are also very fascinating. Andy, I know I do more NFL draft stuff because it's part of my job, but I want the chat to react to this. I'm not as big of a Carnell Tate guy as others. I know some of that is environment and waiting your turn at Ohio State. Jordan Tyson is very fascinating to me. I've really grown into liking him a whole heck of a lot at Arizona State. And I think those two and Mekhi Lemon are pretty much locks to go in the top 20. So those are the three wide receivers for me that you really need to look out for. But there's not that, like, they don't come close to like Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase type of prospects to me. So those are your three big first round pass catchers if you're interested in making some moves. So there you go.
What about KC Concepcion?
Out of Texas A&M. Great
Yeah.
story. All right. So transfers over from NC State. Some of these kind of like off-field feel-good stories are something that gets people excited. So he struggles with stuttering, and he's an advocate for people that stutter. So very likable guy, very exciting player, and I'm not as big on him as an NFL receiver, but I could see someone falling in love with him and him sneaking into back of the first round or no later than day 2 pick.
Yeah, if he has like a good storyline going in to training camp, preseason, he could be a guy that you're looking at for between $5 and $15 on these college uniform autos. Like if you're targeting Leaf and stuff, that's fine. They're actually nice cards, but just target these really low serial numbered ones, like out of 35, out of 15. This guy, yeah, target it from $5 to $15. I mean, it's hard to go down, especially if you're planning on flipping it and selling it heading into the season. It's not like a long-term hold, but I like him as a prospect in the storyline to flip heading into the season.
And there's a few other receivers that interest me. Omar Cooper out of Indiana. Some are really high on him. I'm not as high on him as well. I think I would probably lean towards being more of a Lemon guy and being more of a Tyson guy. But we'll see what happens. Trey Lance's younger brother is also interesting. Bryce Lance. Coming out of North Dakota State. He also went there. Doesn't have any autos, though. He just has Sports Illustrated for Kids cards. That's literally the only card he has printed. I find that to be ridiculously fascinating. But let's get to as many comments as we can, Andy. And JR Cards, there's been a lot of Saints talk in here. JR Card says, calling it now, Olave will have a JSN breakout year for the New Orleans Saints, which signs Trevor Achan or Travis Achan, and Olave having a JSN year. So that's an OPOY type of season, Andy. I don't know if I go that far, but your thoughts on the Saints?
Who's going to be your starting quarterback? Is it going to be Shuck, the year in the job?
Chuck, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, Shuck. I mean, he was actually pretty impressive down the stretch last year. And I mean, Olave with that like good passing accuracy. The problem was he was getting so many hospital balls from Carr and Rattler. I mean, the guy, he's lucky to not be, retired from injuries. So he's got the potential 1,800 air yards. So that's the total amount of yards he could have potentially had last year if everything was caught. Like, if the target quality was good all year long. And he only had 9 touchdowns. We know Olave is capable of these elite numbers if he's healthy. So hopefully he gets them good target quality. Hopefully the play calling's better for you guys and they continue that momentum they had finishing the year, Carter. I mean, I don't know if he has a JSN year, but I can certainly see him put up easily another, 1,200, 1,300 receiving yard year.
Domo Card says, ain't no way. Jonathan says he's high on Carnell Tate. Andy, I want you to go watch Carnell Tate, and you tell me. I just go watch him tonight, and you tell me if you think he's special. I mean,
he's from Ohio State, right?
Yeah, some of his vertical stuff is just truly breathtaking. Like there are some things, like there's some wide receivers you watch, and it's like knife through butter, and he's that kind of guy. There's just something, I don't know. Sometimes there's just something just a little off for me. It's just my natural inclination, but I don't know. It could just be that I don't like Ohio State. Let's go to Francis. He was very patient with this question, and he seems like he is more of a first timer. And I said I'd answer this. I started buying blasters. This is way up there, around 1227. I started buying blasters to open with my grandson. Are any of them even worth it anymore? You pulled a numbered card, jersey card, even an auto, and they are not worth the paper they are printed on.
For sure. I agree. And that's why we target singles, I mean, you look at what the sealed market has done. You should have no problem going to a Walmart or Target and finding professional uniform football cards, premium sets too, like optic, etc. It's just the hit rates are so low, and then the cards you do end up pulling, like either veteran cards or just not premium cards. So it's like, man, the market really has shifted to you targeting specific singles. I think that's just the way you have. I mean, that's the way I would approach the football card market if I were you, instead of spending money on boxes.
Yeah, there's never been a worse time for me to buy a blaster. $35 is what you'd have to pay. I mean, I walked into a Dick's Sporting Goods, Andy. This one was in Baton Rouge. It was a beautiful establishment, and they had a whole hobby section. And I kid you not, there was at least 90 blasters just sitting right there, $36.99 a pop. Walk into a Walmart, you could basically see the same thing. Prism blasters. And we're not talking about Phoenix. We're talking about sealed prism blasters. Now, football cards will probably never do what it did in 2020, where the prices were obviously a little bit more reasonable, and it was like all-time heater world that we were living in with football cards. But like, it is still wild to see that many blasters just sitting out there, right? Like, that's just nuts to me. I'd rather go right here to blow out my cards and spend $69.99 on a Mega.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it'll correct. Especially when Fanatics starts producing more licensed NFL product, and you get like Topps Chrome and stuff back in the game, and hopefully they're looking at what the Panini Pro uniform market is doing for football. Because you look at how the prices are just tanking for all these sealed boxes, Optic, Prism, Select, Phoenix, all of them. Look at all of them, and that's an indication of how the hobby is perceiving, like how they're prioritizing their money and their spending on singles versus these boxes that the hit rates are just so low, on good stuff. And so hopefully Fanatics like learns from this and reduces print runs, makes things a little bit more exclusive, produce less boxes but a higher hit rate. I think that'll correct the market. But at the same time, it's nice to now be able to pick up a mega box for $50 of a premium set, so there's pluses and minuses to it, right?
Yeah. Everyone's saying singles, singles, singles. Sounds like a Beyonce song in our chat right now. But yeah, I still got a bunch of 2020 mega boxes just sitting over here. I'm thinking about selling them. But yeah, it does suck though, because if you simply know nothing, what's the first thing you think you're going to do as a football card? Someone that just wants football cards, or you can go rip wax. That's just how it works. So it's a strange thing. I'm wearing a shirt from Nashville. We haven't even mentioned Cam Ward, Andy, and the new Titans uniforms.
Mm.
Do you have any hope for Cam Ward as they sign the superstar that is Wan'Dale Robinson to come over?
Yeah, I've got hope for Cam Ward. I mean, I think there's promise there. It's just, man, he got put into a total dumpster fire situation in his rookie year. Yeah, expectation were probably too high, but they're probably right about where they should have been. I mean, he was never, like, I don't think the hobby really expected him to take off in that situation in his rookie year. I'm sure some people did, but generally speaking, yeah, I think we all kind of saw what was coming there for Cam Ward in his rookie year. He ended the year much better than the way he started, I think. So there's hope.
The reason I bring up Cam towards the end is there is some real steam right now, Andy, that the Titans could select Jeremiah Love.
Mm.
And I just don't think they should do that. But they're thinking about it.
Well, I mean, I like Jeremiah Love.
But
he-
here's what I would say. Is this is not a great roster. They made a really bad signing on the offensive line last year. I won't get into it because it's kind of a sore subject with me. And that kind of set him back with their offensive line. And Chig is gone now. They did bring back Calvin Ridley, and then they do have Elik Manor coming back, Shimray DK. Like some promising rookie guys and all of that, but I don't know. I don't know if Jeremiah Love's your answer, a running back. I just don't. Like, could it be that I potentially wanted Love to sign with the Saints? Well, that's not going to happen now that they went and got Achane. And I say Achane, for those that don't know, Travis Etienne said the correct way to pronounce Etienne is Achane. All right. So I don't know. I don't want people to be confused by that, because Devon Achane's also on the market. But yeah, Jeremiah Love to me is in the minds of many the best player in this draft, and it's hard to deny that. I mean, he truly is a special running back prospect. So I'm very interested where he's going to land in this first round.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at Cam Ward's statistics from last year. He was really bad time to throw. Like he was really like pretty bad at a lot of stuff. But if you actually look at his red zone completion percentage, Carter, he was number 3 at the quarterback position. Now, maybe he didn't have many red zone attempts, so that is something to take into consideration. But with a number 3, 66.7% completion percentage in the red zone, that's pretty good, man.
Mm, mm.
So, but they played really slow, you know, they did throw like 36.8, number 7 team pass plays per game. But the game script was one of the worst in the league, you know. And he did have a lot of pass attempts, but I'm not sure exactly. Okay, his red zone attempts 54, which was 21st amongst quarterbacks. So he didn't have a whole lot of red zone attempts compared to other quarterbacks. So that you have to kind of take that into consideration when factoring in the red zone completion percentage.
I love that your fight every day with the camera. What? So why does it go out that many times?
I think it's the USB port that it's connected to. I would rather the camera go out than the microphone go out,
Yeah, of
and
course.
I've got every USB port maxed out on this thing. So it's like I kind of I've deprioritized the camera and prioritized the mouse and the microphone on the good USB ports. So, hey,
I like it. You know, you got to do
I'm
what you
a
got to
I'm a
do.
I'm a washed up YouTuber here.
Now you're not washed, man. I mean, I thought the viewership would be like 2 people, but it's actually been pretty solid. They miss you, man. They don't miss me at all. They miss the football card quest. Um, but we do get into hobby tip of the week. I was going to make that my hobby tip of the week because I was recently in a Dick's Sporting Goods and I saw so much wax. All right, like a ridiculous amount of sealed wax just sitting there and multiple stores. Never would I have thought that 2 years ago, but that's where we are right now. Andy, your hobby tip of the week is
Yeah, well, it's that's I mean, the sealed wax one is that's an important one to understand in the dichotomy. But yeah, I mean, my hobby tip is yeah, I mean, just look at this time right now is a good opportunity for those skill position guys heading into the draft, and but targeting to flip them in the preseason, like in the training camp preseason buzz. I wouldn't be speculating on quarterbacks right now for the draft because that's such a hard game to play. I'd be targeting just any good like athletic skill position guy that's going to projected to go in the first 3 rounds. And if you can get those college uniform rookie autos for $5 to $15, $20, I'd be hammering those guys and like projecting to flip them, 3 months from now when we get into training camp and preseason. That's my hobby tip.
all right. Play of the week. I'm going to give you a position that I don't like to target too much because their prices really don't do a whole lot for me compared to wide receivers and quarterbacks. But Oscar Delp is a Georgia tight end. And this tight end class has been testing really well. And the secret's just kind of out that athleticism really matters at the tight end positions. Most of the best tight ends in the NFL had these ridiculous marks in what's called RAS, which is a relative athletic score. It was created by an analytics guy named Keith Lee, or I think that's his name. And Oscar Delp was just a ridiculous athlete. And he had to share a tight end room in a very diverse offense at Georgia. And you can get some of his Leaf autos for 99 cents. I've seen it. So it's fascinating. Another kind of hobbyish, playish of the week is there money in defensive cards? Yes. Most of the drama of this signing cycle has been with defensive guys, with the Max Crosby and all of that. So always be wary of going too hard on defensive guys. We've always wanted defensive cards to go up, and some of them are expensive. Micah Parsons obviously is a big example of that, but just because something generates buzz doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna, like Trey Hendrickson cards are not flying off the rooftops here. So there you go. All right, Andy, do you have a play of the week here?
Yeah, I sure do, man. I'm looking at the players that have been added to the PSA database the most, and some of these numbers are pretty interesting here. I'm going to share my screen one more time here because this gives you, I think, a good play of the week.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah, because what you can do is you can compare like guys that are being added to the PSA database a lot. Like obviously it's really saturated right now by first and second year quarterbacks. Like even Shedeur Sanders had over 1,000 cards added to the PSA database in the past week. But I mean, look at Travis Hunter at 1,090, which immediately makes me want to look at the Brian Thomas Jr. market. Like I'm still like last year, Brian Thomas Jr. had such a great buy opportunity, and then he came back, and then he dipped again. And I'd be really interested to see where he's at now because he's been one of my favorite plays this past season. Yeah, I mean, look at this rookie ticket auto for Brian Thomas Jr. that just sold for $26 last week in auction. That is an absolute steal. So he's an awesome guy to target sniping right now in auction because of the caliber of player he is. I mean, you get serial numbered rookie ticket autos for 29 or regular ones for somewhere around that $20 range. This is fantastic. Fantastic.
I think you have been a BTJ slam the table guy for a while now. I haven't talked a whole lot
He made
about
me
the
a lot of
travel.
money coming out of college because he was so undervalued compared to Malik Neighbors and the other elite wide receivers. And then what does he do? He plays at an elite level his rookie year. Last year was rocky, but it's like, right, he's still just getting into his prime. He's not even really hit his prime yet. So there's some huge potential here for BTJ.
We had a gold hour. Hector's been in here. Hector's a day oneer. Love him. Dr. Hudat's in here. Love to see your beautiful face. If I didn't shout you out, Kelly Maria. Delmo, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Appreciate everything. Frank Magny. What's up? JR Cards. What a freaking show to come back.
I know, man. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, the continued support on the quest, even though, due to my work schedule and how crazy it is, it's been really hard to carve out time to get online. So it's been really nice to catch up with everybody and get back on here, Carter.
Well, you're my guy, man. I mean, we become pretty good friends. So part of it is just hanging. All right, that's just what I like to do. I like to hang out. So we'll keep you up to date on stream schedules, and there you go. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.